With 6 cards predicted, your spectator will believe you can see in the future. The magician starts with a normal deck of cards. He gives it to the spectator and asks the spectator to shuffle the cards as much as he wants. Once the cards are shuffled, the magician takes the cards back. He tells the spectator that he will predict 6 cards from this blue deck. He looks through the cards and makes his first prediction. To make his predictions, he will use this red deck. He looks through the cards and finds his first predicted card, and he places his predicted card on the table. He takes the blue deck again and looks for the second predicted card. Once again, he uses the red deck for his prediction. The magician continues to predict his cards and follows the same steps for the next predicted cards. This is the third predicted card. This is the fourth predicted card. This is the fifth predicted card. And finally, this is the sixth predicted card. Once all 6 cards are predicted, the magician spreads the blue deck and asks the spectator to pick 3 cards. Let's say he picks this card, and this card. The magician takes the cards and shows them to the spectator. The spectator picked the 2 of hearts, the 9 of hearts, and the ace of spades. The magician places those cards on the table. He explains to the spectator that the magical number for this trick is 14. He asks the spectator what's the number necessary to go from 2 to 14. The answer is 12. Therefore, the magician counts 12 cards on the table. He takes the 2 of hearts and buries it inside the deck. He retakes the cards and explains to the spectator that the following cards will follow the same steps. He continues with the 9 of hearts. What's the number necessary to go from 9 to 14? The answer is 5. So the magician counts 5 cards on the table and buries the 9 of hearts inside the deck. And finally, how many cards are necessary to go from 1 to 14? The answer is 13. So the magician counts 13 cards on the table and buries the ace of spades inside. Now the magician spreads the cards and looks for face-up cards. He finds the 2 of hearts and takes the 2 of hearts alongside the first card above it. He continues and he finds the 9 of hearts and places the 9 of hearts with the first card above it. He continues once more and finds the ace of spades with the first card above it. The magician removes the cards that are face up from the cards that are face down, and he makes a simple equation. He looks at the value of the cards and adds 2 plus 9 plus 1. 2 plus 9 plus 1 equals 12. Therefore, he counts 11 cards on the table and deals the 12th card next to the 4 cards that are already face down on the table, and he makes 2 piles with the remaining cards. The magician no longer needs the 3 cards that are face up. He simply gets rid of them. Now the magician is ready to reveal his predictions. He takes the red cards and looks at them. He asks the spectator to turn over any of the 4 single cards right here. The spectator turns over this card, the 5 of spades. One of the red cards is the 5 of spades. The spectator continues and turns over this card, the king of diamonds. One of the red cards is the king of diamonds. He continues and turns over this card, the 3 of diamonds. The magician has a 3 of diamonds. And finally, the last single card is the jack of spades. And obviously, the magician has predicted the jack of spades. Now the magician shows the spectator that he has 2 cards left. He tells the spectator that those 2 cards correspond to the first card of this pile and this pile. The first card of this pile is the ace of diamonds. The magician has predicted the ace of diamonds. And finally, the first card of this pile is the 8 of spades. And obviously, the magician has predicted the 8 of spades. The spectator is mind blown by this amazing trick. To perform this trick, make sure you have a deck of 52 cards. Otherwise, the trick won't work. When you're sure you have 52 cards, simply give the cards to the spectator and let the spectator shuffle the cards as much as he wants. It doesn't matter how much he shuffles the deck. When you get the deck back, you'll have to look for 6 cards. The first card that you will predict is the first card face up. In this case, is the 9 of clubs. For this tutorial, I'll use a red deck for my predictions, but you can also use a piece of paper to write down your predictions, a cell phone, or just anything where you can write down your predictions. Like I mentioned, I'll use a red deck for my predictions, and I'll just pick the equivalent predicted card. The second card that you must look for is the last one. In this case, is the 10 of diamonds. Just like for the 9 of clubs and the other cards that'll follow, I'll use a red deck for my predictions. The third card that you must look for is the second last card, which is in this case, the King of Hearts. The fourth card that you will predict is the one in the 7th position. Simply count 7 cards, starting with the first card face up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The 2 of clubs. This is the card in the 7th position. The 5th card that you must look for is the one in the 8th position. In this case, is the 4 of spades. It is just to the left of the 2 of clubs. And finally, the 6th card that you will predict is the one in the 8th position. In this case, it's the 6 of hearts. It is located next to the 4 of spades. Once you've predicted your 6 cards, simply spread the deck and ask your spectator to touch any 3 cards. Let's say it's this one, and this one. It's important here to know that you must not show the cards to your spectator, not for now. Simply let the cards face down on the table. There is a sneaky move that you have to perform in order to continue. You have the 3 cards selected that are right here. Grab them and show them quickly to your spectator. At the same time, you must catch a pinky break underneath the top card of the deck. Here's how. Using your left thumb, push the top card forward and place the bottom right corner underneath your pinky. That's how you catch a pinky break. Afterwards, simply place the 3 selected cards on top, and when you square them up, make sure you still have a pinky break underneath all 4 cards. Simply show what card were selected, square them up again, make sure you still have a pinky break, and when you place all cards on the table, the top card that was face down is now underneath the 3 cards that are face up. Obviously, your spectator must not know that. Therefore, don't hesitate to practice this move before learning the full trick. At full speed, it should look something like this. Once again, you have 4 cards right here. 3 that are face up and 1 that is face down. Now, you must explain to the spectator that the magic number is 14, and simply ask your spectator what number added to 5 equals 14. In this case, 9 plus 5 equals 14. Therefore, 9 cards must be dealt on the table. Carefully take the 5 of clubs and bury the 5 of clubs inside the deck. When you've buried your first card, take the whole pile with you and place it back on top. Simply show the 2 other cards to your spectator and set them back on the table. Now simply follow the same steps as before. In this case, we have 3. 3 plus what number equals 14? The answer is 11. Therefore, 11 cards must be dealt on the table. Place the 3 of hearts on the dealt cards and bury the 3 of hearts inside the deck. And finally, 2 plus what number equals 14? The answer is 12. Therefore, 12 cards must be dealt on the table. Bury the 2 of diamonds and close the deck. Now simply spread the cards and look for the face-up cards. Once you find the first face-up card, take it and place it on the table with the first card above it. Keep spreading the cards and follow the same steps for the second card face up. For the last card, the steps are also the same. Now remove the face-up cards for the face-down cards and slide them in front of you. Now you'll have to do a simple equation. You'll only have to look at the value of the cards. We have 2, 3, and 5. 2 plus 3 plus 5 equals 10. Therefore, we must deal 9 cards on the table to make a little pile and deal the 10 card next to the 3 cards that are already face down. Make sure you square up those 2 piles right here so everything looks more perfect. Simply get rid of the 3 cards that are face up and prepare your prediction. In my case, I'll use the red cards for the final steps of the trick. Simply ask your spectator to turn over any of those 4 single cards. Let's say he turns over this card. It's the 10 of diamonds. Show him that you have predicted the 10 of diamonds. Now he turns over this card, the 9 of clubs. You have predicted the 9 of clubs. Now let's say this card right here. It's the King of Hearts. You have predicted the King of Hearts. And finally, this card right here, the 4 of Spades. You have predicted the 4 of Spades. And for the last 2 cards, simply turn over the first card of this pile and this pile right here. The first card of this pile is the 2 of clubs. You have predicted this card. And finally, the last card is the Six of Hearts. And obviously, you have predicted this card. Your spectator is totally mind blown